Hello Bulls Nation, my name is Aiden and welcome back to another video. Today, we're going to be reacting to an article that suggests the 9 worst starters that we have seen from the Chicago Bulls team in the Zach LaVine era. Now, it's not necessarily fun to reminisce on the Zach LaVine era, but I started my channel based on this era essentially. So it's going to be fun to look back at some of these players that I have talked about. Some of them I haven't necessarily talked about a lot, and just discuss things, discuss the good and the bad of these players in this video. But if you like the video at any point and you want to see more from me, drop a like, drop a follow, and or subscribe, and comment down below your thoughts about these 9 starters. Which one do you have fond memories with? Which one do you think, I cannot believe this guy started for this Bulls team? And let's get started with number 9 being Robin Lopez. Interesting Robin Lopez, because I'm quite fond of the memories that he had here. Now again, he was a starter on a bad team essentially, and for many other teams around the league, especially the teams he was contending with, he was basically a bench player to a bench warmer type player where he wasn't getting any minutes. But he did have some good memories beyond the Bulls, he had some good memories with the Bulls, and overall, he was actually solid in his job. I guess a solid center that was okay defensively, put good points on the board from the post, and a guy that I would arguably say we didn't necessarily use enough in that way. So in terms of, I guess, a starter for the Bulls, I would often consider him an underrated starter for this Bulls team, but I can understand, I guess, putting him on this list, because if there was a championship team on the horizon for the Bulls and Robin Lopez was here, he wouldn't necessarily be starting, let's say. So interesting from that point of view, but I would consider him fairly underrated. Speaking of underrated, let's move to number 8, and that is Justin Holiday. I feel like this guy has joined the Bulls and left the Bulls more times than I can count. And that could be a good thing or a bad thing. But Justin Holiday is a guy that, again, on a good team would probably be a bench player. I think, again, it says here he rose to his career highs in 13.8 points per game, 13.8, my apologies, 4.6 rebounds per game as well. And he was a better player on this Bulls team than he probably was in the majority of other teams in his career, which is incredible to see. But again, it was a bad team that this Bulls team had, and therefore Justin Holiday did start a couple of those games, was also considered a bench player for other moments on this Bulls team. He had some good moments in terms of 3-and-D, very good three-point shooter, brought some defense because of his size, and yeah, overall, it's a guy that I probably wouldn't ask for him to come back on this team, even though some people would actually say he's a welcome addition because we need more shooting and he provides defense as well. But again, I think he loves this Bulls team because he came back countless times. Even when we threw him away, traded him away, he came back. So I really much appreciate that from him, and it's why I don't necessarily have a problem with a Justin Holiday. I would also consider him fairly underrated for what he was able to bring to the Bulls at that time. Number 7, Chris Dunn. All I could say is I could completely understand why we took a chance on Chris Dunn. Again, he was the 5th overall pick in the NBA draft during his draft class. And normally a pick that high, you expect something out of them. You expect that maybe he could grow into that potential player that everybody was seeking out from him at that time. And he actually had probably his best season with this Bulls team. His first season, I believe, under this Bulls team, everybody really enjoyed him as a starter. He was bringing a lot offensively and a lot defensively as well. I remember those good games he had against Trae Young and the Atlanta Hawks. I remember some games where he's dropping absolute buckets from the mid-range. It was an extremely interesting time for Chris Dunn, but I would say inconsistency and injuries really got in the way from him actually being a success here. And overall, we did end up getting better point guards once he obviously departed. I remember that dunk that he ended up falling on his face. Everybody can remember that. Very gruesome injury that he had. But there were some good moments with Chris Dunn, I would say. But again, completely understand why he was on this list. As a 5th overall pick, you're expecting something good out of that player. You're expecting him to rise to his potential. And simply put, that was not done. And past his Bulls career, he's still trying to find his footing in the NBA. So again, there is a lot left to be desired there. So I can understand why he's on this list. Number 6. Tomas Satoransky. Speaking of Bulls point guards, this is one of them that I believe we got from the Washington Wizards, and he basically was the same player from the Wizards to the Bulls. Average, good. I don't mean that in a bad way, but there were some moments for Satoransky where he was completely dominant. There were certain games where he rose to the occasion, dropping buckets after buckets, dimes, all of these things. He brought some good memories to this Bulls team in bad times. but it wasn't consistent. And there were some moments where you felt like he didn't exist on the court. It felt like we were playing 4-on-5 basketball in some ways. I remember constantly saying with Satoransky on the court, sometimes it felt like it was 4v5 because he didn't produce much to the table during those times sometimes. But there were other moments where he was balling out, and you always had to wonder to yourself, why couldn't he do this every game for this Bulls team? Unfortunate, but again, good moments and bad moments. I felt like he played better for his country more than he really ever did for any NBA team, in all honesty. That's how I always felt about Thomas Satoransky. But a tall guard and could do a lot of things on the court. Just, I don't think brought it all together for the Bulls, and I don't think he performed his best for this Chicago Bulls team. And I don't really know where he is now. You guys can let me know. But yeah, I can understand why he's on this list as well. But interesting. And at times, Kobe White took the reins at point guard. I remember one interview where Satoransky said Kobe White deserved to start over him because he was producing more. So again, there are a lot of memories there with Satoransky. But at the end of the day, we kind of see where, you know, Satoransky is and where the guy that kind of overtook him and Kobe White is right now. Kobe White is pushing to be a starter on a better team, or a team that's expected to be better. Well, I don't really know what's happening to Satoransky. Garrett Temple. This list says the Bulls won't be remembering this veteran duo fondly anytime soon. I remember fond things about Garrett Temple, I'm not going to lie. A journeyman, yes. Someone that kind of took his talents to multiple teams around the NBA. But when Garrett Temple played for this team, I very much enjoyed it. I'll be honest, I consider him a very underrated piece to the Chicago Bulls team at the time. He was the glue guy. Did he drop amazing points? No, he didn't. Was he an amazing starter that people are going to remember 20 years down the line? Maybe not, but for this specific moment, when I look at Garrett Temple, I think of defense, I think of good energy, I think he had one of his best seasons with the Chicago Bulls team as well, and it was in a situation where we were actually doing well at the time. I very much enjoyed Garrett Temple here. I would consider him one of the most underrated Bulls players to start in that Zach LaVine era. Very much enjoyed that. I don't necessarily think it's a guy that I'll be remembering, as they said, but I don't necessarily I didn't hate that experience of him starting with this Bulls team. Number 3, Ryan Arcidiacono. Again, I think this one speaks for itself. This is definitely someone I'd put on this list. Or number 4, sorry. But yeah, not necessarily too fond of some of the games that he had. He's a very hard worker. We can all agree to that. Sometimes he pretended he was Steph Curry out there. But again, I just felt like he wasn't really good enough to be a starter. And sometimes we had no choice there. So yes, completely understand why he's there. David Nwaba, I'll be honest, I don't remember much about David Nwaba on this Bulls team, so I can't really comment on him, but a lot of people liked him because he brought some energy and defense. He couldn't really shoot, but yeah, he reminds me of a Javonte Green type of guy. Defense, energy, and is willing to do the hard work for this Bulls team. So I can understand why people like him, but still, I can understand why he was also on this list as well. Jermaine Grant definitely should be on this list as number 2. Simple as that. Didn't really have any good moments with this Chicago Bulls team, really. A very forgettable character, I would say. And yeah, let's move on from that. I don't think he did very well for the Bulls at all. Denzel Valentine is number 1. One of the biggest disappointments. He was picked 13th in the NBA draft. Honestly, the last season that he had for this Bulls team, I would actually consider one of his best. But dang, that Miami Heat shot, I think, ruined his career in the NBA. I don't think he's recovered since. That shot really, again, changed his whole perception. There were some people that were actually saying Denzel Valentine was having a good season coming off the bench. It's one of his best seasons as a healthy player as well. Played a lot of games for this Bulls team. But once that shot was taken, all of that good momentum sunk down the drain, and he didn't recover really since. From a Bulls perspective, from an NBA perspective, he's playing in the NBL right now. He's playing in Australia. I might go watch a game of his eventually. But yeah, the only real problem I have with this list is I think Otto Porter should be on this list. For a guy that's worth $27 million in terms of at that time, yes, he brought some good things. He was a 3-and-D guy, but constant barrages of injuries that came with this Bulls team, overpriced, overpaid, and we traded for that. So I would say if you're going to add the 10th, put Otto Porter down in there. I think he definitely should be involved. But other than that, fond memories, some good, some bad. What do you guys think? Thank you all so much for watching. Drop a like and a follow and or subscribe if you are new. And I will see you in the next one. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay tuned for more. Take care and peace.